Hello folks, we all have our own unique features. The shape of our ears, the color of our eyes or hair, moles, scars and other things that make us different from each other and help us to stand out from the crowd. But in today's video, we want to talk about people whose distinctive feature is their height. So, you ready to take a look at these giants? Let's get it on. Sultan Kurzan. Sultan Kurzan was born in 1982 in the Turkish province of Mardin. Perhaps the world would never have known about this man if it weren't for his height, which made him really stand out from the crowd. Thanks to it, in August 2009, Kurzan got in the famous Guinness Book of Records as the tallest man in the world. He was 247 centimeters tall. It's known that until the age of 10, Sultan grew up as an ordinary boy and didn't stand out in any way. But a tumor of the pituitary gland led to the development of a rare disease, acromegaly. At first, Sultan outgrew all of his peers, then his older mates, but he still didn't stop there. However, for a while the boy was okay with that, and even successfully played basketball. But it soon became clear that the growth process wasn't going to stop, and because of this, it became really difficult for Sultan to walk around. In the end, doctors managed to influence the body of the record holder, and he stopped growing. Nevertheless, because of problems with growth, Sultan couldn't finish school, and he didn't become a professional, but he entered the Guinness Book twice. His second record is the largest pair of hands in the world. Igor Vovkov. Igor's family moved from Ukraine to the US when the boy was only 6 years old, but his height was already 180 centimeters. The parents hoped that US doctors would be able to understand what was happening to their son, and their hopes were fulfilled, but it turned out that this height was a sign of a brain disease. A tumor was pressing on the pituitary gland, causing increased release of the growth hormone. This process is still going on as well. Igor is still growing, and he's already reached 235 centimeters, which is more than impressive. Of course, this height creates a lot of problems for the guy, especially with clothes and shoes that have to be tailor-made. However, there is also a benefit. The memorable appearance helped the guy to get a number of roles in commercials and movies. He even performed at the Eurovision Song Contest in 2013 as part of the Ukrainian team, though he didn't sing, but merely portrayed a good-natured giant. Also, he holds the title of the tallest man in the US. However, that doesn't prevent the giant from getting an education. Igor is studying law. Rajesh Kumar. In the city of Gurgaon, in the Indian state of Haryana, a 2.25-meter policeman patrols the roads. Perhaps even the most notorious infringer wouldn't ignore the orders of this cop. Rajesh Kumar looks really impressive, although passers-by stop sometimes to take a couple of selfies and at the same time to chat with this giant of the law. By the way, despite his height, Kumar only occupies the 3rd place in the list of the tallest people in India. Malhi Dudi. Malhi, the tallest girl on the planet, always stood out from her peers and was bigger than them. At the age of 9, the reason of this condition was found. Like the other people in our video, she had a brain tumor. It also messed with the sight of Malhi, which is very upsetting. However, after finishing school, it became much easier for Dudi to live. According to Malhi herself, she was bullied by other children and was very worried about this. Now Malhi spends most of her time at home, where she helps her parents with cleaning, cooking, and taking care of her 3-year-old sister. But the most surprising thing is that, despite the huge height of the girl and incredible physical strength, the parents are very worried about Malhi. Robert Bobrovsky. Robert's father, a former basketball player of the Romanian national team, began to teach basketball to his son when he was only 5. At 12, Robert has already outgrown his dad and has been the subject of numerous medical studies. At first, the doctors were sure that the boy had a strong hormonal imbalance, but later they decided it was just genetics. The guy really has someone to take after. His dad is 216 centimeters tall, and his mum is 183. At 14, Robert was noticed by an Italian basketball club, and the boy moved to Italy, where he trained according to a developed program, and this has borne fruit. The head of the basketball academy from the US Olympic Training Center, Bobby Bosman, noticed him playing. After the negotiations, Robert moved to Ohio and became part of a new university team. Now the giant leads the life of an ordinary student. He studies, knows 5 languages, lives on campus, and trains a lot to achieve his main dream, getting into the NBA. And you know, it seems that he has every chance to succeed. Yakaturina Lesina. Russian Yakaturina Lesina was included in the Guinness Book of Records 2018. She's currently the tallest model and the owner of the longest legs in the world. The height of the girl is 205.74 centimeters, and the length of her legs reaches 113 centimeters. Earlier, Yakaturina played for the leading basketball clubs of the country and achieved good results. She became a silver medalist at the 2006 World Championships, 2007 European champion, and bronze medalist at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. In 2014, Lesina finished her sports career in order to spend more time with her family. According to Yakaturina, she inherited the height from her parents. Her father's 198 centimeters tall and her mother 188, but the girl outgrew them both and passed the 2-meter mark. When she walks down the street on her heels, passers-by turn around to see her, which is very pleasing to Yakaturina, despite the problems that her height can cause in ordinary life. Lesina admits that as a child she was terribly ashamed of her height. Everything changed only when the girl started to play basketball. She realized that it's an advantage, not a flaw, and eventually she managed to turn it into a world record as well. Rahim Takula. The first thing that people notice when they look at Rahim Takula is not the size of his feet, although he does hold the record for the length of his feet. We agree, Rahim's feet are really huge, but this man's height reaches 2 meters and 46 centimeters. It's difficult for him to stand in his own small apartment. He hardly fits in a taxi and he can't pass unnoticed on the street. To move around freely, the giant has to wear special orthopedic shoes that support his weight. It all began when he was in his teens, when in 1 year, Rahim grew a whole meter. Doctors conducted their research and soon found out that the reason for this behavior of this body is a rare disease known as acromegaly. Well, as you know, this isn't uncommon among giants like Rahim. Today, the man lives in Paris, and despite the problems caused by his huge height, he feels quite comfortable. He says his sense of humor helps him to cope with it. Morteza Merzade. The tallest man in Iran, Morteza Merzade plays for a successful Paralympic team of sitting volleyball. His height is also 2 meters and 46 centimeters, and he's among the top 3 tallest people in the world, and at the same time is the tallest Paralympic athlete ever. At the age of 15, Selakjani suffered a serious injury, falling off his bicycle, and since then he can't move normally without crutches. Who knows how his life would have turned out if the coach of Iran's Paralympic sitting volleyball team hadn't seen Merzade on TV in a talent show, so his sports career began. Although opponents from other teams tried to achieve disqualification of the giant, a press secretary of the International Paralympic Committee confirmed that the rules of the game didn't say anything about the height of the athletes. During the Paralympic Games in Rio in 2016, Selakjani acted as an outside hitter, and in the final match, he became the team's top scorer, having scored 28 points. He also plays for an Iranian club since 2015. Bao Shushun. Can you become worldwide famous if you're a simple shepherd? Well, you can if you make a viral video and put it on YouTube, or if your height is 2 meters and 36 centimeters. Bao was born in a large family, and he was no different from his peers, but suddenly at the age of 16, he began to grow at a tremendous speed, and by the time he was 18, he'd almost reached 2 meters. Naturally, with such characteristics, Bao got into the national basketball team. Unfortunately, the sports career didn't go very well. By that time, the guy had already suffered greatly from rheumatism. He stopped growing when he was 23 years old. He served in the army and then lived another 2 decades, not attracting much attention. But at the age of 40, Bao started working as a doorman in a restaurant, and that's when the man was noticed. In 2005, Bao Shushun passed the measurement procedure for the official record in the Guinness Book and was named the tallest man in the world. By the way, Chinese doctors are sure that Bao's height is caused not by the pituitary disease, as other famous giants, but by other, perhaps external reasons. Radhuane Chabib. In the Tunisian town of Ras Jebel, any local will help you find this man, because Radhuane Chabib is a local celebrity. His height is 236 centimeters and he weighs 190 kilograms. Some time ago, Radhuane played basketball, but that didn't last very long. The athlete kept growing. It was more and more difficult to move, and the sport required quicker reactions. But Radhuane still has passion for basketball. The giant believes that leaving the sport was his worst mistake. Now the only consolation for him is that he doesn't miss a single broadcast of the NBA championship. Now his life has nothing to do with sports. Radhuane carries loads on his tractor. Outside the city, the Chabib family has several sites where they plant vegetables and keep 15 cows. So the man leads a quiet rural life and doesn't think about his huge height. Well, maybe only when he bends down to go into another room. Hey, stop being lazy, it's time to use that brain of yours. Welcome to Brain Time. Incredible facts from the past, the present, and even the future. The power of nature and wild animals, amazing facts and unsolved mysteries. You'll find all this and much more here. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.